So now that we have aligned our image, let's zoom in by scrolling up and let's create our scene. So if I take a look at the scene, we have this room, these are walls, then this is a lamp, chair, sofa set, and table, and portrait, chairs, and these things, right? Lamps, maybe hanging lamps, lights. So the easiest thing that we can create right now is this portrait, right? We just need to create this one, and once we're done with it, we will just copy that one and this will be automatically created. You know, why work hard when we can work smart? So that is it. This will be created automatically. So how do we create this? If I zoom in, I can see this is just a rectangle of sorts. So let's add Blender's built-in meshes. There are certain objects that Blender has given us, and if I add an object, Shift A, mesh. Now for our purposes, we can add anything. Cube will do. Circle, it will make it harder to create something like that. Since this is a boxy scene, we will just go by with a plane. Let's go with a plane, right? So where is it? If you remember, Blender adds things on this 3D cursor, and everything that we add, it will be added over here. Let me isolate this plane from this view. To isolate any object from the scene, that object needs to be selected, and then if we press / key like this, we can isolate it or unisolate it. So let's look at it in detail. What is it? This is just basically a face. If I go into edit mode, you can see it only has 4 vertices, nothing else, and these vertices are connected by edges, and it just becomes one big face, as you can see. So let's go back to our main 3D viewport by pressing / again, and if I go into front view again, I want to align this plane just like that. So I will press RX90, right? And I will move this up here, like something like this. And if I rotate my view, now you can see we have a problem. Our first problem, both of these are, my plane and my image are intersecting. These are on top of each other, and we don't want that. So let us select our image, G, and move it back on y-axis, G and Y. Let's move it over here. Now if I come back to front view, you can see it still looks the same. Immediately you will see we have another problem. I cannot see what's behind my plane. So since I want to see what's behind my plane, I will press X-ray mode. Shortcut key is Alt Z or Alt Z. Now you can see, I can see what's behind my object. So I will just move it GX and move it somewhere into the center, and then I will scale it down, S to scale my plane, GX again, and now I want to scale it on Z axis, so I will press S, Z, and you can see it's now matching my shape somewhat, roughly, GZ and GX. Okay, too much X. I think it matches the shape roughly. And if I disable my X-ray mode, now we can see that we have created our first project. This is our portrait. But there is one problem now. You can see this plane has no thickness. It doesn't look real. It's 2D plane, right? So to create depth, there are 2 ways to go about it. First one is if we go into edit mode and press E and then extrude, E and Y, let's say. Now on y-axis we have given some thickness to our plane. Now it looks like a slab, and that is what we want. Let's undo it. And since we would be doing this E to extrude a lot, so I think we should explore another way, and that way we would be able to take a look into other stuff that Blender has to offer. So let's get back here. First of all, since we scaled our cube in object mode and not in edit mode, our scale is off. It's not 1. So To apply my scale, I will press Control A and apply scale. You can do the same by coming over to Object, Apply, Scale. You always need to have this scale 1 so that we don't get any complications later when we apply modifiers. Even when we go into like these physics options and when we want to apply certain kind of physics, particles, maybe rigid bodies. So scale needs to be 1 for that. So just make it a habit. If you scale your object in object mode, always make it a habit. Press Control A and apply scale. So let's explore the other way. How can we give thickness to this plane, this 2D looking plane, right? If we come over here, this particular tab, this is our properties tab. This allows us to do a lot of things, but for the time being, we are just coming over here to the modifiers tab. In Blender, modifiers are used as a non-destructive way of modeling things. To add a modifier, I will just press this plus button, add modifier, and if you know the name of the modifier, you can just type it over here. Like for the time being, we want to give some thickness to it. So either its name should be a thickness modifier or a solidify modifier, because we want this object to look like a solid object, right? Give it thickness, which in turn will give it some depth. So either I can write just solidify as there, since I last searched it, it's already here, or we can come back here and go into generate. If I just now explore this list, you can see there is this solidify modifier. You can see it has added some thickness to our object, our plane, and we can first decide how much thickness we want with this setting, like this. This offset decides which direction we want it on, which direction, like this. If I do this, it's happening around pivot point. You can see that. Let's go into a side view for this, right view. You can see this is the default. If I make it 1, then it will come over here. If I want it to be in the middle, I will press 0.5, type 0.5. Somewhere in the middle, I guess. No? Okay, no. Oh, 0, sorry. If I press 0, I think it should be in the middle. Yes, you can see that now. We'll just put it to default setting. Then I want even thickness. And this only rim option is very good. If you do not wish to have this extra face over here, you can just press this only rim option and it will not create a face at the back of our portrait. So let's adjust this till we get something like this, like 0.02 meters, and this looks okay to me, so I will let it be. Let's collapse it, and there you go. Before we leave, let's take a look at this outliner. This is outliner. If you come over here, you can see these drop down menus are the same. This is somewhat similar to our Windows filing system, right? The way Windows creates folders. It's similar to that. In Blender, these are called collections. You can also call these folders, like this is our main folder, then these are our root directories. This is a collection which holds our camera. Empty is this reference image. Then we have our light and this plane. So I want to move these. First of all, let's rename this empty. How do we rename anything? Either you double click this empty, it will now allow you to modify it, or you can press universal command. That is, I think, applicable everywhere, at least in Windows. If you press F2, this will also allow us to rename that object. So I want to rename it our reference. I also want to move it into a separate collection or a separate folder. So how do I do that? I will press M to create a new collection. I will rename it to reference and create. Now you can see this reference folder now has a reference image. And I also want to move this plane into its own collection. I will press M. And for another new collection, I will rename it Portrait. And now we have these things in our separate collections. Now this is a portrait collection. This is in image collection. Before we leave, there are two more things that we need to look at. First of all, we can also hide these things. Like if I disable this checkbox, it will be disabled. It will disable my collection completely from everything, from viewport and from renders. Let's bring it back. Let's go into front view. If I click this now my image or this portrait has been disabled in viewports, but it will still be rendered. This camera icon means render option is on. So if I disable this, now this will also be disabled in renders. Let's enable it. Now let's save it. Control S shortcut key to save my project. Control S. Now it is saved. I forgot to discuss the non-destructive nature of our modifiers. Well, as you can see, if I disable my modifier in viewport, my original mesh object is still here. It is unchanged. It's the modifier that's extruding it and creating this shape. So if I remove my modifier, everything goes back to normal. Had I done this in edit mode like this, if I had extruded it like, let's say like this, and then let's make an extrusion on the other side too. Let's on the up. Now if I come back to object mode, this is permanent. If I want to go back to my original plane, I will have to press Ctrl Z a lot of times, like, and there's a limit to that too. After a certain point, there will come a time when I won't be able to do Ctrl Z anymore, and the originality of my mesh would be lost. That's why these modifiers are very, very useful. They tend to help us with the non-destructive workflow. So that is it. This was Solidify modifier, and we practically used it to extrude our mesh.